We grow up believing that power belongs to those who fight hardest, those who chase, hustle, compete, and conquer. The world teaches us to push harder, speak louder, be everywhere at once, and yet the people who truly command respect often move in silence. They're calm, unbothered, indifferent to praise or criticism. That's the paradox. Real power doesn't scream at whispers, it doesn't cling it. Let's go. Indifference, when rooted in wisdom, becomes a quiet rebellion. It's not about apathy or giving up. It's about choosing your energy wisely. The indifferent person doesn't chase validation. They understand that not everything deserves a reaction. Not every battle is worth fighting. And in that restraint lies something deeply magnetic. People are drawn to those who don't need the crowd to feel whole. This isn't weakness, it's strength in its purest form, the power to walk away, the freedom to not care about being liked, the clarity to know what matters and what doesn't. In a world obsessed with attention, choosing indifference is a superpower. It's the ultimate flex, mastering the art of not trying and still winning. We're conditioned to believe that the harder we try, the more we're worth. That if we're not constantly hustling, we're falling behind. But here's a hard truth. Trying too hard often repels the very things we're chasing. The more you force it, the further it slips away. Success, love, even respect, they don't respond well to desperation. They respond to confidence, to ease, to stillness. Think about the most charismatic person you know. Do they chase attention, or does attention naturally gravitate toward them? The truth is, people sense when you're trying too hard. It smells like insecurity. But when you're indifferent, when you let go of outcomes, you become untouchable. You move with grace, not force. You stop chasing and start attracting. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. You show up, you do your part, but you're not emotionally enslaved by the result. The detachment is what makes your presence powerful. It's not about giving up. It's about giving less of yourself to things that don't truly define your worth. Letting go isn't about apathy, it's about liberation. It's choosing peace over control. Most people are trapped in the exhausting cycle of trying to manage everything. People's opinions, outcomes, perceptions. But the truth is, control is an illusion. And the more you try to grip life tightly, the more it slips through your fingers. When you embrace indifference, you stop being a puppet to external forces. You stop living in fear of failure or judgment. You realize what's meant for you will find you, not because you forced it, but because you created the space for it. Letting go gives you your power back. You're no longer tossed around by every little disappointment or victory. You become steady, rooted, free. This mindset doesn't kill ambition, it purifies it. It removes the desperation and replaces it with direction. You don't stop caring, you just care better. Less drama, more focus. Less noise, more clarity. That's the kind of power people can't quite explain, but everyone feels. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's not about feeling nothing. It's about not letting everything own you. In a world where outrage is monetized and drama is rewarded, choosing emotional discipline is revolutionary. The more reactive you are, the easier you are to control. But when you're detached, you become unshakable. Detachment means observing your emotions like waves. You feel them, acknowledge them, but you don't drown in them. You don't let one comment ruin your day. You don't let rejection define your worth. You're able to say, I feel anger, without becoming angry. This doesn't make you weak. It makes you immune to manipulation. When you master this, people will try to trigger you and fail. The noise gets louder. You get quieter, stronger. Because when your peace doesn't depend on circumstances, you become invincible. That's not just indifference, it's emotional freedom. Many confuse indifference with apathy or laziness. But in reality, strategic indifference is one of the most focused and intentional mindsets you can adopt. It's the art of choosing where to invest your energy, of saying, this doesn't deserve my reaction, not because you don't care, but because you care about better things. In a hyper-reactive world, indifference becomes a filter. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every insult warrants a response. Not every problem is yours to fix. When you understand this, you stop pouring fuel into meaningless fires and start conserving your energy for what truly matters. It's not laziness, it's mastery. It's about having the wisdom to ignore the trivial so you can dominate the essential. To not chase every argument, every trend, every person's validation. Strategic indifference means you walk through noise like it's wind felt, but never stopping you. It's not that you're doing nothing, it's that you're doing the right things and ignoring the rest. Caring can be beautiful, but caring too much about things beyond your control, about the opinions of strangers, about every little misstep, can quietly destroy your peace. When your self-worth becomes a currency traded on the stock market of public opinion, you'll always be bankrupt. We live in a world that constantly demands our emotional investment. Outrage culture thrives on overreaction. Algorithms reward drama. But here's the truth. Not everything deserves your heart. Not every issue deserves your sleepless nights. When you overextend your care, you become emotionally bankrupt, anxious, and exhausted. The most powerful people you know aren't the loudest. They're the ones who have mastered the art of caring selectively. They channel their care like a sniper, not a sprinkler-focused, deliberate, and unshakable. Want peace? Stop giving a damn about everything. Want power? Start choosing what gets your energy and what no longer does. True confidence doesn't scream. It doesn't need approval. It doesn't seek validation. It walks into a room and doesn't need to prove anything. And where does that kind of confidence come from? Not from overthinking, not from obsessing, but from detachment. Detachment isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about freedom. It's knowing that your value isn't tied to how others react to you or how things unfold. When you detach from the need to win, impress, or please, you win anyway. You become immune to rejection because your self-worth no longer depends on external responses. When you stop trying so hard to control how you're perceived, people start to perceive you differently, calm, grounded, magnetic. Detachment creates space for authenticity. And authenticity is the loudest kind of quiet power. We've been conditioned to care about likes, followers, compliments, criticism. But here's the hard truth. The more you care about everything, the more powerless you become. The people who thrive in life aren't the ones who obsess over every detail. They're the ones who master the art of selective indifference. Not giving a damn doesn't mean you're apathetic. It means you've refined your focus. You care deeply, but only about what truly matters. The rest, you let it go. That's Zen. That's clarity. It's power. Ironically, the moment you stop trying to please everyone, you become more respected. The less you chase approval, the more influence you gain. Why? Because people can feel when your energy isn't needy. Indifference, when rooted in self-awareness, is a form of enlightenment. There will always be chaos, deadlines missed, people gossiping, news screaming, crisis after crisis. But if your inner world is anchored, none of it can break you. The real flex? Staying cool while everything around you burns? Calm is not the absence of pressure. It's the refusal to be shaken by it. Indifference, when practiced with wisdom, becomes emotional armor. You stop personalizing everything. That angry email is not your storm. That passive-aggressive comment, not your fire to fight. You smile, stay steady, and move on with intention. Let others scramble to fix every flame. Let them overreact, over-explain, over-apologize. You preserve your energy. You master the art of composure not because you don't feel, but because you know where to channel your strength. You're the eye in the storm. You're the stillness they can't shake. The need for approval is a quiet kind of prison. It starts with small compromises. A word unsaid, a truth softened, a dream postponed. Before long, you're living someone else's idea of your life. And for what? A few nods of approval? Handful of polite claps? Indifference is your jailbreak. When you stop needing validation, you start acting with real freedom. You make bold choices not because they're safe, but because they're yours. You stop explaining your path to people who were never meant to walk it with you. Here's the truth. The world doesn't owe you applause. Chasing it will only dilute your power. The moment you no longer need others to say good job is the moment you start doing great things not to impress, but to express. That's the power of indifference. It breaks the chains and sets your genius free. Caring is beautiful until it turns toxic. When you care too much about how others perceive you, every decision becomes a performance. Every failure feels like a scandal. You live not as yourself, but as a projection, edited and filtered for applause. The problem isn't empathy, it's dependency. Yes. The more you need others to approve, understand, or support you at every turn, the more fragile your confidence becomes. You're building your identity on sand. One bad comment, one misunderstanding, and it all collapses. Indifference doesn't mean heartlessness, it means freedom. When you care selectively, you protect your peace. You focus your energy on what you can control, your values, your effort, your direction. Not when you do that, you become unshakable, not because you stopped caring, but because you finally started caring about the right things. Letting go sounds passive, weak even. But in truth, it takes immense strength to release what's weighing you down. Expectations, resentment, control. We're taught to hold on, to fight for everything. But not everything deserves a battle. Letting go isn't giving up. It's choosing peace over chaos. It's realizing that clinging to a sinking ship doesn't make you loyal, it makes you drown. Relationships, goals, identities, some things are meant for a season, not a lifetime. Indifference gives you clarity. You stop asking, how do I fix this? Start asking, is this even worth fixing? You learn to walk away not out of spite, but self-respect. And the moment you master that, you're no longer just surviving, you're steering. Everyone's a volcano these days, erupting over opinions, tweets, traffic jams. But the real flex? Staying still when everyone else is losing it. Reactivity is cheap. It's the default mode. What sets you apart is your ability to pause, observe, and respond with intention. Indifference doesn't mean you don't care, it means you care selectively. You've trained yourself to not chase every insult or approval like a lost puppy. You don't need to prove your worth in every argument or defend your choices to people who don't matter. That's power. While others are playing emotional ping pong, you're calm, focused, unbothered. It's not that life isn't messy. It's that you've stopped making every mess your responsibility to clean up. You become unshakable because you've mastered the art of selective reaction. We've been sold this myth that success must look loud. Fancy cars, daily hustle vlogs, sleepless nights. But the loudest isn't always the strongest stand. Definitely not the happiest. Real success? It's quiet, intentional, and often invisible to those who measure life in likes. Indifference to noise is how you stay focused on what actually matters. While others are chasing external validation, you're building something solid without applause, without the pressure to perform. You realize that fulfillment doesn't need to be broadcast. It needs to be felt. The superpower of indifference lets you walk away from distractions that look like opportunities. You stop trying to win the wrong games, because the quiet ones, they're not behind. They're just playing at a different frequency, the one where peace and power coexist. There's a strange kind of magic in letting go, not giving up, but giving in to the natural flow of things. When you stop forcing life to obey your timeline, you realize some things fall into place better than you ever planned. Indifference teaches patience, not laziness, but trust. Trying too hard often pushes things further away. People chase relationships, careers, and recognition with desperation, and end up exhausted. But the indifferent one, they act with clarity, not obsession. They know what's meant for them, won't miss them. That's not passivity, it's wisdom. So you stop forcing, you plant, you water, you wait. And when the moment comes, you're ready, unshaken. While others burn out chasing validation, you become the calm force that draws the world in effortlessly. That's the quiet flex. It's winning without trying. In a world obsessed with hustle, noise, and constant validation, the one who remains calm becomes a king without a throne. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to chase to be chosen. You don't have to try so hard to win. Because real power isn't loud. It's still. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the one who dominates it. It's the one who doesn't need it. The one who walks away. The one who smiles quietly while others scramble for attention. That's indifference. Not because you don't care, but because you finally know what matters. So let the world spin. Let others race. You breathe, observe, and move with quiet conviction. While they burn out trying to prove something, You thrive by proving nothing. That is your superpower. That is how you win without trying.